Hey guys, I'm the Zam. So, progress report, round 2. Progress report for February 2025. I'm going to start off with Shadowheart. We started this one on January 10th. It took us until February 5th. This is the game my friend actually recommended to me. ETA on how to beat was about 30-35 hours. So for me, I'm going to guess about 60 hours. I usually put in about 20 hours a week if I can. So this one will be probably wrapping up around time to make the video for January. Again, the reason this guy is quote-unquote late is because I fell down the Path of Exile hole during the playthrough. That game, too damn addicting. So a quick overview, the game systems are a little different from the JRPGs that I'm used to. You got HP, MP, and SP. Each turn you consume 1 SP to take an action, and if you run out, you lose the ability to control your character. How much SP do you get? Well, at the start of the game, when you get Alice, she has 3. So that's 3 actions, and she's done. Overall, it doesn't change too much, but I don't really feel it added anything either. It's a drain on the action economy and boss fights, but other than that, I never really noticed it because I was winning fights on the first turn with AoE. The other thing is each action in battle requires you to play a little rhythm game. You fail the rhythm game, you lose your SP without taking an action. Quick abridged story, Alice is being taken through Japan as a POW when a man claiming to be Roger Bacon, remember that guy, attacks the train. Uru is our hero with the power to fuse with the souls of monsters. Uru saves the girl at the request of a voice, and the two begin their journey together. Their travels take them all over China, gathering party members as they seek to stop the Demon Gate invocation, which will let in a shit ton of demons into the world. Alice gets kidnapped at a crucial time. We have to go rescue her, but she's at the guy who's doing the invocations place. So we were probably going to go there anyway. The guy isn't actually doing the Demon's Gate invocation. He reveals he's doing the reverse Demon's Gate invocation, which summons a god to the world. Uru and the gang kick his ass, but it succeeds, and to stop the demon god, Uru fuses with it and then goes missing. Fade to black. 6 months later, Alice and the party are doing exorcisms in Europe, hoping to find Uru. They take a job in a town, meet a vampire. He joins the party, mentions he has a monster sealed in his tower that can sometimes take the form of a human. That's gotta be him. That's gotta be Uru. You get to Uru, but he's lost his goddamn mind. Alice goes inside Uru's souls, or mind, or whatever, and brings him back at the wager of her own soul. While this is the canonical ending, you can avert it with a side quest. We did that one. Travel Europe. Roger Bacon's actually Simon, a student at Bacon's. He wants Alice so he can perform some ritual to summon a god from M72 in the Aquarius Nebula. No, I am not kidding. But he manages to get his hands on Kudelka. Yes, that Kudelka. So he no longer needs Alice. The god is summoned. You gotta go to a flying castle, beat Simon again, beat the god, roll credits. Overall, I don't really feel the story the same way I felt Kudelka. But Kudelka was also, much more tightly packed. I think with the only one Charlotte side quest I didn't do, it doesn't feel like it's trying to say anything. I don't feel like Shadowheart is trying to say anything. The best you can make is a case with Uru's curse, but the resolution to the curse is canonic for Alice to commit honorable Sudoku, which is fine for curses, I guess. But I don't know. It's a little too simple. Doesn't really give me anything to chew on. It really felt like 50 hours of nothing but reading practice, I guess. Like the game, I straight up, I feel like someone was like, let's make a game called Shadow Hearts because it sounded cool, and then had no idea for the follow-through. When my friend recommended this game, he said, there's a lot of text for you. He wasn't kidding. Library of characters, monsters, descriptions. Library has some interesting entries. I did last time I praised the sort of out-of-pocket monster designs in Kudelka, and Shadow Hearts brings a lot of the same energy. They got the normal stuff, but they also got these arm dogs, which are dogs that have an arm coming out of their mouth, and they attack you by kicking you with the dog part. That's incredible. I love it. They also got these other monsters called Doom, which is just a dude doing a handstand, holding a brain on a stick in their toes. Like, this is just brilliant. I love this. They got Ayakashi. I actually read about these a little bit before. I did some flirting with visual novels, and one of them mentions Ayakashi, but the interesting thing is Ayakashi, to my understanding, is a broad term today, meaning specter. But Shadow Hearts seems to have borrowed the other meaning, like grudges of those that have drowned given form. And we got Yashihime. This one's only here because I liked Inuyasha as a kid, and noticed that this beast was named Yashihime, which was the title of the sequel anime, which I wasn't impressed with, but Moroha is too fucking cute. It says this is a beast born of muddy water in holy sacred grounds, something like that. Hiding at the base of old wells, it drags people down and drains their life force. Again, I think the monsters are all great, and there's some interesting designs everywhere you go. Overall, I don't think Kudelka really fits this game, and I'd even say it's inappropriate to call Kudelka a prequel to the game, since Kudelka doesn't really provide any context to this game. Shadow Hearts, I feel, is a game that borrows Kudelka's setting and characters to an extent, but it's its own thing. It's its own thing. So, this is a new section. Now, last time I did this video, I wasn't quite satisfied with it because while this is a Japanese learning adventure, I didn't really mention anything on the language side of things. It just sort of turned into a game review by someone who is barely literate in the thing that they're reading. So we're going to try to focus a bit more on the Japanese for these videos. So what did we get out of Shadow Hearts? I guess primarily the 4 guardian beasts. I was aware of them, but I'd never seen them written out. So we got Suzaku, Seiryu, Genbu, and Byakko. Went on a bit of a wiki dive on that guy just out of curiosity. The other thing that stuck out to me while I was reading about the stuff was the guy coming from M72, because I see the kanji, Seiyun, and I'm like, that doesn't mean what I think it means, does it? And like, yeah, it does. You know, it's nebula. The fun thing about kanji is just sort of guessing about how new words are read and what they mean from their components. Like, I've seen hoshi many times in things like eisei, wakse, and kumo. I recently learned, aside from its kumo reading anyway, from Raiun, which came up in Vandal Hearts, I want to say, Vandal Hearts, or what was the Dragoon game? Bahamut Lagoon, that one. So yeah, individually I can read them, so I can kind of guess their meaning when they're together. Your mix of characters don't speak like the standard written Japanese either, so I had to kind of like puzzle out some of the grammar terms. Just a quick example, Zhugen, or whatever his name is, he often says Deijobu instead of Daijobu. And Uru will often slur his speech. Is slur the right word? I don't know. When he's angry. It's like when they do the R rolling thing, right? Overall, how readable is Shadow Hearts? Now, of the words I added to Anki from it, about 1 in 6 were N2 or higher. But I'm not sure how reliable that number is because of the way I get the level from Jisho. Anyway, I'm going to leave it here and move on to the next one, which is Kuon. Started on February 5th, finished February 8th. So it took a weekend. So we did the check on Kuon. It says less than 12 hours to 100%. Should be a short one. You start the game with the Path of Shadows and the Path of Light. I start with the Path of Shadows since it was on the left. I don't know if the choice really matters. I read that there were 3 playthroughs to do, one for each of the main characters and a secret one somewhere. You do both of those and you unlock what is functionally the final boss fight, and that's it really. Personally, I think the last chapter is kind of rushed because they didn't want you to fight the final boss with these shitty attacks that the children had. They give you a proper spear in the Kuon chapter. Progression is triggered by witnessing certain scenes, picking up reading certain writings, which got on my nerves once or twice because there's no real way to know if you're missing a scene to progress other than to check every room one by one to make sure. Or like a key item will be used in an unintuitive way. Like on Saki's route, you're meant to break a bar with a wedge, and I had no way of knowing that because on the previous playthrough, I used that same wedge to break rock walls. I don't think it even makes sense because there are several barricaded doors inside the palace, and the wedge doesn't work on those. So how am I supposed to know it works on the one outside? I don't know. One thing I do like about the progression is that you only find maps of an area if you're meant to be in that area. So I didn't know this at first, so I spent a good amount of time in the doctor's mansion. But after I figured it out, I could focus on my play a bit more. I could talk about the combat, but I'm not going to mention much on it. It doesn't really feel like it fits in this game. Might be better without it. One thing I will note here, one last note, is I swear I've seen some of the wall paintings here. I wonder if the artist took some inspiration from anything in like Nijol Castle. I went there personally. It's really nice. I think it's one of those World Heritage sites. I wrote down some notes on the story, but honestly, I'm not equipped for this. Let's talk about the Japanese. We're getting a crash course in the outdated kanji, which I don't mind. These outdated kanji often find their way into popular media when we want to be fancy, and the setting is also Heian Jidai, so I guess it's authentic. So Sakia, one of the characters, Sakia. When Sakia saves Utsuki with the wolf, we're playing as Utsuki in this case. She hands us Shikifu, which doesn't come up in Jisho as a word, but the two components are ceremony and talisman. The ceremony kanji I see very often, especially at this time of year, right? It's February. I'm recording this on February 27th. I think there's like 10 days of school left. Like, there's not much. So they have like 10 or so days left until graduation. And what is a graduation ceremony in Japanese? It's a sotsugyoshiki. So the shiki I'm very familiar with, and things being like ceremony, ritual, rite, etc. The fu I see often. Actually, now that I think about it, isn't that the same kanji for fu in mahjong? And after a double check, it is. Anyway, I never really thought that much of it, but I saw it often in Shadow Hearts, and it means something like talisman or charm. So there you go, ritual talisman. A lot of silkworm related words. Kaiko, silkworm. Kaiko ga, silkworm moth. Mayu, cocoon. Kua, mulberry tree. Got some Buddhist terms like Nyorai, which is an enlightened Buddha, and Gedo, which is a demon. I'm not sure about that one. Gaki, which is a hungry ghost. Some of this is familiar just as a concept because I'm familiar with Pain from Naruto and his Rinnegan. Yeah. One of the people who writes little notes writes ore as this, which is interesting. I've never seen that before. It's kind of, just nice little cultural notes. I think Kuon is fairly readable at my level. I added 62 terms to Anki, which is pretty average for readable games in my experience. A little bit more than Saga Frontier and Final Fantasy IV had me add, and those two I felt were pretty readable. As for the game, do I recommend this game? Yes, absolutely. Great atmosphere design. Story's genuinely interesting. Kept me going. The combat could go, make it a walking simulator, and I think it might be a bit of a better game. Maybe not walking simulator. Maybe what are they called? Like atmospheric horror, where you guys know what I'm thinking. We're gonna leave it there. Moving on to Ace Attorney. So this one we started on February 8th. We finished it February 26th, yesterday. So it's been a hot minute since I've played Phoenix Wright, and we're talking like over a decade. The last one I remember playing was Trials and Tribulations, I think. It has the best Truth Revealed music. So why Ace Attorney? Because I thought it'd be interesting, and I didn't have any recommendations on hand. And the longer I can put off Me-Side, the better. The name appears to be different in Japanese. So in English, it's Ace Attorney. You might see Phoenix Wright, right? Phoenix Wright, Ace Attorney. In Japanese, it's Gyakuten Saiban. So Turnabout Trials, I guess, would be the translation. Since it's just a straightforward series of cases, and I suspect most people have probably played it before, I'm just going to focus on the Japanese we're getting out of this one. As always, it is the Japanese that is wholly impractical to my daily life as an English educator. So, of course, we got the court stuff. We got Bengoshi. I didn't have to add this one to Anki, but I knew about it because I once looked it up after seeing a book about the lives of lawyers in one of the classrooms. Kensatsu-kan, prosecutor. We did not know this one because the YouTube channels I watch are largely defense lawyers. Hote, courtroom. I know I've written it before, but I can't recognize it. Heite, court adjourned. Kind of obvious from the Hei, if you know what this kanji is. Kinkyu Taiho, arrest without warrant, not in the United States. Boto Benron, opening arguments. So the Boto at the start is actually the new word for me. I knew about Benron already, but yeah. Sensei Sho, Jisho says written oath, but to me it read like affidavit in context. Kyohaku, blackmail or intimidation. Kiso, indictment. This is koi, mens rea. So in the United States, most crimes require two elements, the mens rea and the actus reus. So this is the first half. Jiko, statute of limitations. Seito boe, legitimate self-defense. So I don't know. I like this one because I'm a 2A American, I guess. I got a few medical terms as well. Shiketsushi, so death due to blood loss. I knew what it meant when I saw it, and I did guess the reading, but I need to add it to Anki so I see it more often to memorize it. And this is Sanket's Oxygen Deprivation. So I like this one because I need more context words for that particular San reading right there. Phoenix Wright turned out to be a bit more exhausting than I thought it would be. It's also a lot longer than I thought it would be. I did wind up taking a break. I took about a week off due to illness around February 14th. I lost my voice entirely. It was awful. But it still took about 3 weeks in my usual pace of about 20 hours a week. It is a legitimate visual novel, right? Rather than a puzzle game. So maybe that's to be expected. I thought it was more of a puzzle game. It's more of a visual novel. One novel a month. I guess that makes sense. So wrapping things up with some of my closing thoughts here. So where are we going next? It's hard to say. I had originally planned to do all 3 Ace Attorney games in my Naruhodo selection, but I don't feel that way anymore. That was exhausting just to do the one. Like, it stopped feeling like a game and it felt more like work, which it kind of is, but it kind of isn't. Remember to take breaks when you're playing games, kids. We'll sort something out. We might flirt with just reading manga or some. March is contract season as far as my company life goes, so might have to dial back the pace a little bit. If you want to keep up with me, just like last time, I guess I'll drop a link to the Kodoba Miners until Cheap tells me to stop doing that. Find me there on weekends. Let's set up some co-op reading. Want to read with me when I'm doing these games? That's cool too. We'll figure it out. But that's all for today. Thanks for watching.